Welcome back, everybody, to Rob's MetalWorks. Tonight we are here at the Corova in support of one of our favorite artists. Yes, I have with me writer, artist, poet, and amazing front woman. I have with me the woman, OTEP Shamaya. How you doing, ma'am?
I am glorious, thank you.
It's great to see you after so many years.
Yes, when I was just a wee lass trying to figure all this chaos out, yeah.
Now it's controlled chaos.
A little bit, yeah. Sometimes, as much as you can control a tornado or, an earthquake, yeah.
Well, you're looking good. Thank you for taking the time this evening to talk with us. There's lots to talk about.
Yeah, sure, thank you.
Okay, so let's get started. I think people have been talking about new music from OTEP Shamaya, recorded music, that is. And so there is, I've heard things like, oh, she said she's not going to do a record, now she wants to do another record. What's the real story? Are you going to release another record for the fans?
Well, I got really disgruntled, I think, and disappointed, about...
With Victory?
Well, with the record industry in general. Yeah. I'm not going to point any fingers, but, I did feel like at one point that it was all for naught. All this energy, all this emotion, all these these great songs we're writing, we're connecting with our fans, and the industry as a whole just really has a hard time understanding who we are and what our fans want and the messages that they want. So I took some time off. I did some voiceover work. I was in the Hobbit, Battle of Five Armies. I did that. I finished a book of short stories. We did some touring.
I want to talk about those things.
Yeah, right on. And then, I don't know, the spirit of music started to come back to me, and so then my guitar player, Big Aristotle, the Spartan, and I started, working on some songs and working on some ideas. And yeah, I don't know. Right now we do have label interest in us. We've had it this whole time. We just have to find the right partner that's going to understand us, or at least lead me to believe that they understand us and they understand how much our fans mean to us and what the fans expect from us, and that we're a message-driven band. That's the first thing.
You always have been.
I always
have been.
And always will be.
And that's why people love you.
Thank you. And it's.
You know that.
I hope so. I know that people are impressed that I'm the girl that goes grr and all of that, and that I have very principled belief systems that I stand by, but also. It's important that people remember, that it's for me, it's about the words, it's about the message. That's what is the most important.
I think also people found interesting, people know already that you've been off. You haven't been on the label for almost a couple years now, but yet have gotten some really cool management with Cam and Sid Wilson partnership in a management team. How did that come to fruition, and why did you go for that? I've
known, the Slipknot guys since 2001. I've known them forever, and they were idols of mine before I met them. When I heard their first record, I thought, wow, this is real, this is authentic, this is genuine, and so we've just stayed friends throughout the years, and then we ran into each other at like a birthday party for a mutual friend, and started talking about, I didn't have a manager, they had a management company, and we stuck with it for a little while, and it worked out really great. We were with them. They managed us for about 2 years, and then we decided that it was time to switch things up a little bit. And now we don't have a manager, but we had a great time with those guys, and we're still friends with them, and it was really cool.
Thanks for the update. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, like I told you before we even started shooting, I said it's an exciting time for OTEP. Because anything can happen. Okay. Yeah. We don't know what kind of music we're gonna get from you. We're gonna get a new record. We don't know who you're gonna, if you're gonna do it DIY, you're gonna be on a label. There's so many questions to be had. So talk a little bit about what you foresee for the rest of 2015, because this tour, the Art of Fury tour on your second leg, it's about to finish. So what's I know you're always planning ahead.
Yeah. Our plan for as soon as this is over, right now, every show counts. So for us, it's like, it doesn't matter if there's 5 people, 50 people, 500 people. We go out every show, give it 110%. After that, after this tour's over, which ends in Las Vegas, which will be a lot of fun.
About a week?
So we have 5 shows left in a row. And then we're going to head out to back home to Los Angeles, and Aristotle and I are going to sit down, and we're going to start going through the songs we've written, try to do a little more writing and see what happens. And I'm going to talk to a couple more of these label folks and see what they've got to say. If they say the right things, then, who knows. But, we're very interested in putting out new music. We feel it again. It feels right. And that's really all that matters to me, is that it has to be authentic. It has to be genuine. I don't want to cheat anybody. I don't, it's not about the money or the fame or the women or the whatever. For me, it's about the emotional impact and the emotional connection that I can have with our fans. And if that's not there, then I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to try to cheat anybody or take anybody's money for for some stupid reason. For me, it's about being authentic and being real. So I have to be able to, I want to feel these music. I want to feel these words. I want to feel these emotions and put them on these tracks so that it's real. And so taking some time off is really good for us. And I think people are going to really love what once they hear what we've got cooking.
Sweet. I'm sure we can't wait. So let's talk about, you mentioned earlier a little while ago, some of the literary work that you do and illustration work that you do. Something new that you released just a few months ago in April was the Movies in My Head kind of story kind of book, or short story thing. Talk a little bit about that, because I don't think a lot of your fans, or maybe some of them may have crossed over to the other artistic interests that you have. Aside from being a drawing artist, I know how great of a drawer you are, God. But also, storytelling. So share a little bit about Movies in My Head with the fans.
Sure. Movies in My Head is a book of short stories I've been working on for about 2 years. Was finally able to have some time to focus on it. So that
really
it was
quick, totally fictional or non-fictional? Because we know how deep some of your scars run. Share with us.
I think every writer pollinates their stories with a little bit of themselves and their own experiences. I think that's just part of what happens. But there are 3 separate stories. They're all in different times and different eras with different characters, but there's a common thread that runs through all of the stories. And so far people have loved it, and I'm really proud of it, and I'm very proud to share that with them.
Sweet. So where can they pick that up online? At a bookstore? Do you have hard copies?
You can pick it up online. I self-publish, so it's on a website called lulu.com.
Lulu.com. People go out there and pick it up. I'm sure it's quite interesting. I also want to talk to you a little bit about OTEP, because one of the things that I'm out here fucking 10 o'clock at night, slaving away, because I wanted to have this chat with you, because I really respect you and your integrity. And one of the things that I found quite interesting, and I think that there's kind of been a little bit of the buzz, is that I saw your post, because you're very active on social media. I've seen your posts about some of the music festivals who are kind of like struggling right now to stay alive. You talked a little bit about the economics of the good and the bad of some of those festivals for the artists. Can you just take a few moments and share a little bit about your feelings on that? Because I think it's very important. I think the fans who complain about, oh, this tour sucked, this festival sucked because we didn't have good bands, and yet these bands are, they have guarantees that need to be met, and the economics on their end, they need to be met, and it all becomes a big clusterfuck, and people don't understand it. So I want you to share verbally your take on that for the fans out there.
Well, it depends on for bands. It's harder now because pirating has become so prevalent and so common and so accepted that bands have to make a living basically on the road. Yep. And they have to make, most of their money comes through merch sales and guarantees. And if you're not able to meet those requirements, then you have to look at it as if it's going to be a loss or a gain regarding, are we going to be able to make new fans if we're in front of these particular audiences or not. Most labels aren't giving tour support anymore, so you're really out there on your own. And if the fans love you enough to support your music and to come out to a festival, then they should buy your music as well as support, because the merch pays for the tour. The albums pay for the recording, and that's how it's segregated. It's not all together. It's not all one. I don't know if it's so much about the economics of things. I just think that a lot of times people who put on these festivals, maybe they underestimate what the fans really want. And I think that a lot of female-fronted bands are overlooked. And, I'm going to be called a sexist because of that, but I think it's true. I think, you can just look at the lineups and how many, there's maybe 1 or 2 a season. And I think that that's something that is prevalent throughout the industry. you know, so be it. But, you know, anybody that comes to our shows, I don't know if they, you know, they may be surprised if they're at their first show that there's a woman that's fronting this band called OTEP. But by the end of it, they're going to go, that's one of the most ferocious things I've ever seen. And even Billboard wrote about us recently, talking about if you didn't think female-fronted bands are dangerous, you should check out OTEP. And that's a big compliment to us because, you know, we do put a lot of energy, a lot of emotion into our shows. And that's very, very important to me, and it's very important to our fans. And I don't think that we should be underestimated just simply because of our biology.
I'm glad you kind of bring that up because I think we see the old school and the new school breed. And when I think of OTEP Shamaya, you know, you're in the front, okay? Because like as I told you off camera, I said, yeah, the last time I had you was in talked to you was in 2002. You've already had a long career in the music industry.
Yeah, and I'm proud. We've stayed in the underground this whole time, and I'm real proud of that. Even though we were signed to Capitol Records, which is a major label, simply without a demo. Only after 4 shows, just A&R came to a show, saw us, signed us on the spot. We had to learn real quickly about the music industry, so I learned a lot about it. Had to learn a lot about, you know, musicians' rights and artists' rights, and you know, and also, you know, how many times I can get the wool pulled over my eyes, you know, which is a lot, you know, because you're learning as you go. It's a learning process. But 7 records, you know, I mean, it's a career.
Next will be the 7th, right?
Well, 7.
So it's coming.
7 with the
live record.
album.
Yeah,
yeah. So it's 7.5 with the EP and the live album. 6 studio records, and you know, a pretty great. You know, I'm very proud of this. It's the longest job I've ever had, if I want to call it a job. But, you know, we've had fans that started listening to us when they were kids, and they're grown, and they're bringing their own kids now, and that's great. We got people that are just discovering us, you know, after all this time, and that's important to me, and that means a lot to me that we're still able to spark and ignite, you know, fires in places that we didn't even know were possible.
I'm glad that you talk about, you know, hey, you know, I'm pro women in rock. Who were there any vocalists when you were coming up in heavy music that you thought were kind of also paving the same way?
Well, I didn't listen to a lot of heavy music. I mean, I was really more about the messages. And again, I didn't look at biology. I wasn't really, even when I started this band, I didn't think, oh, I'm a woman, I'm going to make a big deal about it. I just said, this is just something I want to try. Why not? And so I did it, and we did it. So, but, you know, I was really, like, you know, Rage Against the Machine was a huge influence on me. The Doors were a huge influence on me. Nirvana was a huge influence. Slipknot, you know, System of a Down, the Deftones, and bands like that have messages and meaning, and, you know, and put emotions into their music. As far as, you know, bands now, I think that we're seeing it change. You're starting to see a lot more women fronting bands. We're starting to see a lot more women playing guitar instead of just being bass players, drummers. It's spreading out. It's being good, but I still think that there's a little bit of a bias, and hopefully we just keep continuing to destroy those stereotypes and you know, crumble those barriers.
Sweet.
Yeah.
OTEP, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for giving our interview all of that information. It's always a pleasure talking to you, ma'am. Any last words for the people in San Antonio or around the world who will see this interview?
We love San Antonio. We love playing here, and it's one of our favorite spots in the entire world to come down. It's a great city. It's beautiful, great fans, crazy fans, and we appreciate all of our fans around the world, which is a crazy thing for me to say, but, you know, everywhere that has supported us, stood by us, and continues to support our music today. Thank you very much.
I've noticed that, you know, you're looking pretty fit. I know you went to work out today, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we did.
So I take it Ari didn't take you to go eat enchiladas at some Mexican restaurant.
Oh, no. We stay fit on the road. We're a clean living. That's why we can do what we do on stage.
My primo Rick and I were talking about Ari. He's like, I bet you that guy doesn't eat tacos. I bet you don't eat nachos and margaritas at 2 in the morning like we do.
No, man.
He's a monster, huh?
Well, he's Greek, and that's why we call him. That's why we call him the Spartan. We live a very Spartan lifestyle.
Sounds like it's all good in the OTEP camp.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so thank you so much. We look forward to your new music. Hopefully we'll see it in 2016.
I hope so. You know, and going back to like my band, you know, it's important that, you know, for me to note about them, you know, I feel like I have the best guitar player, the best drummer, and the best bass player that I've ever had in a band, and I've been doing this for a long time now, and I've had a lot of musicians come and go through me, but you rarely, I think, and at least in my experience, get a chance to play with people that you feel are your family. And on top of that, they're like the most talented people on the planet. And so that's another reason why we're really excited to bring, you know, new music to everybody, because I get to make music with those three wonderfully, like, beautiful souls who are just like, you know, incredibly talented and just believe in what we're doing and believe in the message, and they love the fans, and they stand by everything that we do. And just to be able to just to be in a studio with them and create, you know, with this level of talent is just going to be like mind-blowing to me. I've never had it before, and I'm super excited about it.
We look forward to seeing the ambiance of that connection. Thank you, OTEP Shamaya. Thank you so much for coming on Rob's MetalWorks. Remember, everyone out there, you saw the lady right here. Look for new music from the band coming in 2016. Go out there and look for that book of illustrations too, and get into the in-depth mind of this lady right here. She'll blow you away. You saw her only on Rob's MetalWorks.